Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
All right, guys, I am back with another episode of Black Businesses Matter. My next guest, I'm super excited. Y'all know I'm always excited to bring guests to the studio because it's just something that I enjoy. In fact, when I get to come into the studio, it's actually my motivation. It really is. Like when I have a tough day and I come into the studio and I get to meet another accomplished entrepreneur, and another accomplished, amazing woman, I get chills. So for me, it allows for me to know that there's just so much dopeness in the world that there's no reason to be dope, right? And so I'm excited about my next guest. And I'll tell you all, it's so crazy how we met, but I just love her story and how we met. And you guys are going to learn a little bit about her. But let me just say that don't ever underestimate the power of asking for what you want. Because Char'Nese, she did just that. She asked, and she somewhat got more than probably that she even wanted, right? And so Char'Nese M. Turner is an accomplished author, journalist, and entrepreneur. She is the founder and CEO of Tribe Tribute, a women's empowerment organization dedicated to inspiring women and girls to be their true selves. She's earned a Bachelor of Journalism and a Master in Media Management from the University of Missouri. So we have a master's in the building. I love that. With over a decade of an experience, and she has over a decade, but y'all, she looks like she just got started, seriously. Her passion for storytelling, which I love because this is where we just gonna have fun, has taken her to global platforms, including NBC Los Angeles, New York, Ebony-JET Magazine, WGN-TV, and NewsNation. Currently, she serves as a senior associate writer for the Obama Foundation, where she leads editorial content. Did y'all hear that? You know, I need some claps, clap, snap, snap. She is a 3-time author and a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. In her free time, Char'Nese enjoys traveling the world and mentoring youth, and that's why she's here. She's going to talk about her organization, how I got a chance to meet her. But one thing that I want you all to know, that she starts off and she is guided by this motto: I can do whatever I want to do in God's will. I love that. That's right. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and to share my story amongst your platform.
Yes.
Thank you, Larvetta, so much.
Thank you. So we've got to just let everybody know how we met, because I think it's important.
Absolutely.
Because we want to give your mama her flowers.
She deserves all of them. She's retiring this year, so she deserves them.
She
and
deserves
more.
it. Yes. So the story is, Char'Nese reached out to me about a couple of weeks ago to ask me to participate as a panelist for your annual empowerment luncheon.
That's
right.
It's
a luncheon.
That's right.
With Tribe Tribute, which you guys are going to hear a little bit more about that. Unfortunately, I am out of town on that weekend, and I was not able, and I'm not able to participate, but she's going to tell you more on why, if you have a young person, why you need to be there. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I told her, I love that she's doing this. So I said, why don't you come onto the show? And I said, how did you hear? Like, what made you think of me? And she said, her mother saw me on, as you all know, or you don't know, I was featured on NBC Chicago. For Chicago, it's on every it's all over the world. It's on Mentoring Queens. Mm-hmm. And she heard my story and shared with you and said, Mom, she was like, basically mom was like, you need her.
That's
so
right.
Tell me how it went.
Yes,
Just
that's exactly how it went down. You need her. If you don't know who she is, go look at the segments. And that's exactly what I did. And as you spoke about getting chills when you see inspiring women and women who are walking their walk and doing that with a purpose. Yeah. And so that inspired me. And I said, I need you. Even though it didn't land like I thought it was going to land, God presented another opportunity that I didn't even see for myself. So thank you for that.
And I think that that's the thing that we have to realize is there's the power of asking. I tell everyone that it's power in the ask, because sometimes we believe the no, right? We believe, they're probably going to say no. They're probably going to be busy. But what we don't realize is they may say yes. And they may actually offer more than what you even desired, right? And so I think people get in their heads. We were just talking about this recently. We get in our heads, well, I'm not going to ask. She's probably busy, and we will almost talk ourselves out of what God has for us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot of us. So,
absolutely.
Char'Nese, tell me a little bit about you. Tell me, who is Char'Nese as a little girl? Yes,
and I kind of want to touch on what you just mentioned. I was that kid asking questions, asking why, and it was never in me to hesitate. And I learned that with yeses, I learned that with nos, and I just learned to just do my part and try. And that's always from a little kid on to this day. And because of that, like I said, it has opened doors that I didn't know were possible just by not being afraid to ask those questions.
Yeah. So as a little girl, were you, and I think that's probably why I was so mesmerized by your email, because it really, to be honest with you, I remember me. And just so you all know, she came in here with a real card. And I say that often, that card still works. I said it on that, even on there, like that still works. And we don't understand the power of just those little things, right? That really shape how we see people, but it also how people see us. Mm-hmm. That they thought enough to stop and handwrite it.
Yes.
That's powerful, right? When we've got AI and everything else.
Absolutely.
Anything.
Yes.
that you could do, but the fact that you can do it with your, on your own. So as a little girl, did you know that you would be into journalism?
I knew that it was in me. I didn't know the expression, but it started with a journal that my grandmother gave me at 6 years old. And that was kind of my first window to possibility. She said, whenever you're happy, whenever you're sad, whenever you're feeling in between, write it down. And I still remember that notebook. It was purple with a flower on the front. And that is what started it all. And by writing it out, it turned into short stories and turned into poems. And it just turned into just letting it all be free and escape my mind.
Yeah.
So from there, it got to yearbook in high school and newspaper and those expressions like that. Then I got to college and I got to do it in the form of broadcast and learning those worlds and the marketing and business side of it. It's something that was in me all along. And those programs, those people, those lessons molded me into what you see today.
That's beautiful. I think when I'm a journal junkie. I've probably got a box full of journals. So I believe that journaling, probably, and I don't know, I think for me, I was a girly girl, right?
Yes.
And so having a diary, writing your thoughts, that was my way of, it was personal. Like nobody has to know about my dreams.
Sacred.
It was very sacred. Mm-hmm. And so hearing you say that your grandmother gave you that and really instilled in that, do you think that today, right, you're, leading a generation that, ultimately don't write anymore, right? Everybody's texting, email, that.
That's true.
How does that impact you today? Like as a journalist, right, you have all these amazing ways to capture a story, right? How, is that still important to write it down today?
My mind automatically goes to writing it down. I think it becomes real when you write it down. Mm-hmm. And that's something that has stuck with me for a while. But I think mixing it up. If you aren't into that written media, if you aren't into putting it in a video journal or putting it in an audio note, finding whatever that thing that works for you and not being afraid to mix those two, try it. And you never know what could potentially grow from that.
Yeah. I like that you said mix it because, as I think about, in our company, I always say we have to have an omni approach to how we communicate, like multiple ways of communicating.
Yes.
So realizing that one way is not necessarily the best way, but it might be the only way that you were familiar with, right? And so being exposed to another way of being able to do that. So today, does Char'Nese still have that journal, or do you, how do you capture your thoughts today?
Yeah. Yes. I use my own device and mix that media as far as using my phone as a capsule and a journal in itself, and then taking those big thoughts, those big ideas, those big goals, and transferring it to paper and saying, it's not going to just stay in my phone as an idea. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm going to put it on the paper and create these plans to do it.
Wow.
So it's a mix of both, but my phone is like my instant, like if I get a thought in the middle of the night, or if something speaks to me during the day, I see a sign, then I'm writing it down in my phone, or I'm recording myself a voice note to say, don't forget this, write it down later.
I love that. I love that. I love that because I literally believe that we don't understand that these phones are tools, right?
Yes,
They're
absolutely.
tools, right?
They are
to be able for us to be able to utilize them, but sometimes I think we've misused our tools, right? For various reasons. Tell me about your passion for storytelling. When did you first fall in love with storytelling?
Yeah, I think storytelling was always, let's go even back further to Black culture and our story in America, our story beyond America, and how that has been our truth. And that has been the way that we tell our secrets, we tell our history and our legacy for the future generations. And I just knew that when listening to stories as a child, I wanted to be in those worlds and eventually create those worlds, and just understanding that there's things beyond myself, beyond my neighborhood, beyond what this current circumstance or situation was, that I could read something, I can escape, or I can expand my mind beyond what I see in front of me. And I think that is what drew me to the world of storytelling and the arts. And it just grew out of reading. It grew out of hearing my mom and her girlfriend's stories, my grandmother's stories, and being around family, quality time, and getting that history and those family reunion moments. Like, I take pride in immersing myself in that history, in that legacy, because I know that I'm going to have to be that orator who will share that to the next generation and plan these family reunions and, step up to the plate, because who else would we have if we don't have these stories that have cemented us in this history and where we have to go next.
But I gotta ask this, that's just who you are. Like, you just woke up and just was like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And was there an aha moment in your life? Because I think my reason for saying that is because it recognizing, right, when I think about listeners, just like, we're still trying to figure it out, but knowing that it was clear for you, like there was a clear runway for you.
It was clear in the sense that I knew that this is what pulled me the most. I give my sister as the best example, because in real life, I'm real decisive. You can't ask me what I want to eat. You can't ask me, besides something I want to do, I don't know. So my sister is a prime example of knowing and having that instinct from a child. She said she wanted to be an educator. And at 25 today, she's in her third year as a public school teacher here in Chicago, and went through the education system at Illinois State and has been doing it for years as a teacher, fresh out the gate. So just seeing her path, and I call her a little Sagittarius, but
that's
just,
me.
You're a terrorist too?
Yes, I'm a Sagittarius.
Yes, but I'll call her terrorist. I put the terrorist on the end.
I never heard of that one.
She's a Sagittarius. So shout out to Sagittarius.
Yeah, shout out for Sagittarius.
Yes, I love the Sagittarius.
Sis, I see you. So I'm going to give a shout out to sis. What's his name?
Carla.
Hey, Carla. Hey, Sagittarius. I'm going to still call you Sagittarius, okay? Sister.
Yes.
But, and so looking at her and seeing her, that was your motivation?
She's younger than me, actually.
Oh, she's younger. Yes. Wow.
Yeah, I'm the big sister.
You're the big sister.
And everybody says, that's your big sister?
Wow.
Yeah,
so she's the person and you're the indecisive one.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So is the indecisive, in your mind, is that positive?
It's indecisive to the point where I'm forced to figure it out. And I don't sit in that, I just don't know. I won't know. You know, that kind of attitude.
Okay.
It puts me to the point of, Char'Nese, be real. What do you want? Wow. What do you need in your life right now?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it has been a tool in that way of, yes, I'm going to second guess, doubt, all those things initially. But then once I really pause, I can say, let's clear the noise and figure out the root of this. You know what I mean?
Clear the noise. I like clear the noise. I think we all need to clear the noise.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
yes.
Right? The noise can be very distracting. And one of the things I would say, Char'Nese, and as I've grown in business, is sometimes silence is loud. Mm-hmm. We don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be seen, right? And so, but when I was growing up, I think it was like the loudest person in the classroom was the troublemaker. But the loudest person can also be the person that ultimately is deemed as a bad person because they haven't figured out, right, how to allow their light to shine. And not that someone who doesn't speak up means that they don't have anything to say. You just haven't created the environment for that. So you're in media, you're in journalism, right? I'm going to just task you with this question I probably have never asked anyone, but I want you to know, when you think about generations, right? We have Generation Z, we have millennials, we have Generation X, we have baby boomers. How important is all generations, if any? Do you think that is important?
Yes, I think generational ties are most important, especially because we mentioned all these divides before with the internet, technology, these phones are distracting. And after the pandemic, we haven't had really real spaces or chances to connect on levels beyond, hey, how you doing? I hope the family's well. And from there, that's what we need to grow as a society, to protect our democracy, all those things. And I don't think today we take that very seriously, but if we focus and be intentional about building those bridges, meeting people where they are, seeing where we're at today, learning where we came from, and just trying to go forward.
Yeah. I think it's important because we do a lot of, right, this generation does this generation does this.
Division.
It's so much division. Do you think that that's, sometimes I think sometimes it's intentional to keep us divided. Do you think that?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's just been innately how it is?
I could see that. I could see all sides of it, and I try to stay optimistic but neutral.
I like that, optimistic but neutral.
I like to be hopeful because I know that what we do today changes tomorrow, and what was done in the past got us to this point. So we should all give everybody a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, we all need a little bit of grace because we're just trying to figure it out, especially if you put in our government, all these societal factors into play. The bottom line is we need each other. People need people. Yeah. And if we could see that at a base level, we could do a lot to fix some things.
Yeah. But you hear the word, right? She don't know nothing. She's too young. She ain't lived long enough.
Yes.
Right? And we see that. And I will say this, and I just want to ask you, have you found the generation, which I guess would be my Generation X, have you found Generation X to be more supportive, less supportive than your baby boomers? Like, what generation do you find most supports you? Because we're going to talk about tribe tribute. What have you found to be the generation that's like, they ride or die?
Generation X women. They are.
Can y'all hear that from my Generation X women? She
Shout
said
out
that.
to y'all,
Shout out
yes.
to us. Yes.
Shout out to y'all. Y'all are doing it. It may not be as overtly as we're speaking up in the way that is political or X, Y, and Z, but it's more of a push of we know what our generation got a chance to do. We know what limited us then. We know the bounds, and we see you trying to be free. We see you trying to push those limits and make anew. And whatever we can do to support that, we're here for it. We root for you.
Wow.
And that's the energy that I've been picking up, and I'm grateful for all these years. Yeah.
That says a lot, because I think when we think about these generations, right? Generation X is the most, and again, don't quote me, but I know statistics show that we were the most educated generation. Yes. We had the highest, education levels. I think it's even been proven that we've made the most money over time. Probably within when you next millennials can make money in 5 years, but over time.
That's right.
And also, we're the generation where we've acquired real estate, right?
Yes.
And so you look at that and you say to yourself, like, okay, that generation is, but then you also look at this generation as we've worked very hard, right?
Absolutely.
We know what it's like to put in 12 hours. Whereas I feel like my millennials, like, we ain't got to work that hard. Let's put in 5 and do a great job and go home and get on, and get a passport and fly, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the things that we get from millennials, is the opportunity to live in that freedom that we didn't necessarily have. Because do you think code switching still exists? We've heard that term in our generation, but do you think that code switching is still a thing?
I think it's still there in some corporate cultures, but I also think it also goes back to the individual and knowing who you are. And if you present your talent, present your shine in a way that is unique, authentic, and it's going to get the job done, I don't think that it should be an issue in any regard. But I do think that it is present to this day, but individuality shines the most.
I think it does. I think I 100. I think it's so important to be authentic in every way and unapologetic with it, right?
Yes.
And understanding that. And I just love, I love what you're doing. And I want to talk about this tribe tribute. I want to talk about, when did you start it? What was the motivation behind it to start it? And letting people know why it is important.
Yes.
So tell me, where did you pop in and was like, I have to do this?
Yeah, it was 2018.
Okay.
I'll start there.
Okay.
And I was graduating college, about to start my master's program, and just in a space of like, I've been alone for a while. I've done college. I've done the thing. And who am I as a woman? Who do I want to be in this world? And just going through my own self-love, self-care journey, and just figuring it out as I moved into this next chapter of my life very quickly. And I knew that I wanted a space, because I was going into a grad program where you're all alone. It's at your own pace. You're depending on your own efforts, your own research. And yeah, it got lonely in New York. And I was just like, I need people. And my friends really were my saving grace in that space. And because I noticed that when I was able to open up and talk about those feelings, and not just write it down, or not just call home, or not just go to the park and let the sun hit my face, or, those things kind of added to it. But once I was able to get it out amongst my people, my tribe, I'm like, I can breathe again, and I can start taking those steps to go forward. And so it started as a text to my friends of, how would you feel about something where we kind of do this, and we do it in a setting where we purge it all out, where we uplift each other, where we create a sisterhood. And they were like, okay, what you waiting on? Do it. Wow. And so that do it attitude got me to our first conference that coming January 2019.
Okay.
And so from that point, it was full steam ahead. So this year is our 6th conference, our 7th year in business.
Wow.
And it is beyond my wildest dream. And it was for me, but it has become for everyone else. And it's a blessing.
Yeah. And so you attract women, kind of early career women. So probably like the Gen Z, I'll say that for those who keep up with generations, but really early career women, right? Who are figuring out where they want to go.
Yes, and that's the best part. It started in that regard and me just pulling in my friends and like-minded women. And then next thing you know, my mom was like, what about me and my friends? And then I was like, okay, well, then let's open it up. Let's get everybody in here.
Yes.
And this was still in the planning phase, so it wasn't to the point where we were excluding people early on, but it was more like, let's open the doors. Let's make this larger so our demographic right now is from 18 to 65.
I saw that.
Because we give out scholarships, we do everything. And we make sure that we're in a space where we're feeling supported. We're hearing Gen X. We're hearing Gen Z.
Yeah.
We're hearing the baby boomers.
Yeah.
They might talk a little bit on the side, but you're going to be involved and you're going to hear what we go through today so that you can you might not change your perspective, but you can at least acknowledge it and say, these are the new women.
Yeah.
This is who I raised my daughter to be, and this is my granddaughter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So
it's necessary.
I take pride. Yes. I take pride in creating and cultivating that space.
And I think, and I laugh because I really do laugh because I think, and what we kind of utilized was Medea. Let's start there, right? That was a character. Yes. But that was a character where we all could learn, right? We didn't like how she may have done it.
Yes.
But there was a lesson in it,
Absolutely.
right?
There was always a nugget.
There was always a nugget. And I think what we looked at that is we kind of got away from that because the Medeas, in all fairness, are looking younger, right?
No, I hear you. Yes, I hear you on that one.
So they're looking younger. So it's like, wait a minute now, we ain't got no gray. You know what I mean? We not, we wearing fresh wigs. Not, you know what I mean? And I think that's where, I think that's where we've kind of, like, she's glamorous.
Yes.
She's not like
Medea who?
Yes. Exactly. And I think what happens, but she could have a pistol, right?
Yes.
But she's cute in her pistol, right? She's walking with her pistol with her bag, right? So I think we don't understand that it doesn't look like that. But I think the process is still the same.
Yes.
And I think that creating the space that when I looked, I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Thank you.
Merely because when I think about, I did a platform called Leading Ladies International. I haven't done it in a long time. But it was started because I felt like women felt hopeless. But many women that I knew were like incredible, but like that wasn't being shown, whether they were a stay-at-home mom or they were being an auntie every weekend and helping, that
exactly.
niece.
We're multifaceted.
Correct.
Yes.
But I think which is why I love what you're doing, is that your tribe allows you to see yourself beyond the career.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's not, yes, I do this job.
Yes,
but
and.
I am also, and, right? Not or, not
and.
But, it's and.
You're
and
correct.
I think you've created this tribe that says, yes, girl, I see you, and I see you do this, and I see you this, and I see you do
That's
this.
That's the vibe, yes.
Yeah, I could totally, and I feel that those things from us needs to be supported. I think because when you can have, like, I say all the time, I don't know everything. I do know a few things, right? Because I do, right?
Yes.
I know a few things that I could kind of help you go down this, but I don't know everything. Because I think what happens is our defense from any generation is, you think you know everything. But I actually do know something. I don't know everything, but I know something.
And let me tell you, right.
Right,
Be
and let me tell you.
Yes.
But I think in that was our term of, I think, honestly, of not allowing ourselves to be receptive and receive because we wanted to live in this place like, let me do me. I got to do me. And that's okay. But let me say this. If I'm in the checkout, this is always my example. I'm in the checkout line. You show up. And I could tell you, girl, let me just tell you that they got that same dress at blah, 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 blah. They charging you here $99.99. But girl, they got the same exact one for $59.99, right?
Yep.
Now what you gonna do? Really? Okay, well, let me go get it. It's the same thing.
Same process.
I know a little more. I just know a little something. So taking that isn't going to knock your shine.
Yes.
It actually is going to get you there quicker.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because when you take that $59, there's about $40 you got left over to go do what you want to do to be fine, whatever. So now you got an additional $40 that you can add to your budget or whatever and do something else. But we don't realize that information is the gateway to getting where you need to get faster.
Absolutely.
Right?
You're right.
And so realizing that you get to have these powerful women all in there really giving and gaining.
Giving and gaining. I love that. Yes.
Giving and gaining.
Yeah.
They're giving what they know and gaining something they don't know.
That's right.
And that right there is powerful, right? And so when is it?
Saturday, May 18th.
Saturday, May 18th. From what time to what time?
Noon to 4 p.m.
Noon to 4 p.m. And where is it being held?
The Orland Park Civic Center.
Orland Park, which is, if I was like, I have never heard of that. But what's so crazy is I was in Orland Park when I got your email. It's crazy. And I was like, this out here. Oh my God. And I just had a moment because I don't get out to Orland and I think it's a beautiful area.
It is beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And so I was like, oh, look, there's even a event that's going to, so we had a moment with that. So knowing where you're doing, so how can people find out about the event?
Yes, tribetribute.org is the best place to go to find out who we are, what we do.
Tribe Tribute, say it again.
Tribetribute.org.
Okay.
And our events tab has everything for May 18th.
Let me tell y'all what she just did for all of you all. She didn't drop her Instagram, y'all, and she part of that generation. She dropped her website. Guys, that's what I'm talking about. Like, don't underestimate the power of an accomplished entrepreneur that may not be the age you are. Do not, because that's oftentimes I tell people, drop your website. Don't give all Instagram. Right. Drop your website. Let people learn about you from that platform, because when Instagram shuts off, you got your website for people to go to. I love that, because you are an accomplished journalist. You're listening to Black Businesses Matter, and we will continue our conversation in a second. But first, take a listen to this special message for our BBM fam.
We know how important it is to stay connected, so why not join our BBM Fam Club for special announcements and exclusive offers by texting BBM FAM to 312-300-1300. That's BBM FAM to 312-300-1300 today. Now let's get back to Black Businesses Matter.
So in your role right now, you work at Obama Foundation.
I do.
How do you like that? Tell me about that.
I love it. I have always wanted to be in a space where I can create and do it for my community, and to know that we have a physical manifestation of this with the Obama Presidential Center coming in 2026. It's just going to be amazing. And to create a story around it, around our community as a Chicagoan, a South Sider,
that's
a
what I was going to say.
Bronco.
Oh, I got a Kenwood Bronco.
Yes,
I didn't go there, but every person I know has gone
exactly.
there.
So it's deep for my history, but Chicago history, the Obama's history and legacy.
Wow.
So I'm just happy to be telling those stories.
So are you like, just listening to you, are you like truly living your dreams?
I would say I am, and I'm blessed for it every day. I just wake up and thank God. Every second I think about it, I thank God, because I was not supposed to be here, for being honest. My birth story started breech. Then it became, I came out 1 pound, 10 ounces. My mom was barbecuing for Memorial Day, and her water broke. And here I came months and months early, and I was born May 27th, 1 pound, 10 ounces. Yes.
Wow, what an incredible story.
Yeah, so I'm thankful for this journey because God could have just said no on day one. And that's why I can't say no to myself. I can't cheat myself out of opportunities. That's why I ask questions, as you said before. And I don't move in fear because even though I am fearful sometimes, I'll be honest about that.
Yeah.
But as far as moving in fear, and that's not in me because I know that God is on my side.
And moving it, here's the thing. I just repeated that. We don't understand that, I'm going to go Bible just a little bit because I think it's important.
We're ready for the book.
I know. When we say that we don't operate with a spirit of fear, but of power and a sound mind.
Yes.
What we don't understand is we don't give power to the sound mind because a sound mind gets sound advice, sound counsel, right? So moving in fear says, I don't ask for help. Moving in fear says that I don't allow somebody to give us some good advice from a sound place, from a healed place, from a whole place, right?
Yes.
And so recognizing that that's the part that we don't give, we don't give a lot of power to that sound mind. And so the mind is a terrible thing to waste. We know that, right?
Right, we know.
We know that, but it's what we feel in our minds, like what we feed our minds.
Yes.
So if we feed fear, meaning, I can't do that, then that becomes a sickness within our own selves, right? But when we feed optimism, risk-taking, asking for help, that's going to give you a fruit. That's going to give you good fruit.
That's
and
right.
that's the good fruit that you're doing that I really, really hate that I'm missing. But I need every person that's listening that you guys support Tribe Tribute. Her website is tribetribute.org. Tribe, you know how you say, I got my tribe?
Yes.
That's what she's developing. And so if you have that young daughter, niece, mentee that wants to be in a room with...
And we give out scholarships. So whoever that young person is, bring them to the front. Bring yourself to the front.
Bring yourself.
Yes.
Like that. So high school students could come.
Correct.
Oh my gosh. High school students could come. You can get a scholarship. I always believe, be in the room with the people you want to be. Be in the room with the people that are doing it. Be in the room with the people. And we don't understand that. But her motto is, I can do whatever I want to do in God's will. And I love that you say that because we believe we can do it all, but it has to be in God's will, right?
It has to be in His will.
Because if God's will isn't, you not going to be able to do it. You can think about it.
You can think.
You can
plan.
You can plan. But if it's not in God's will, it will not manifest, right?
Absolutely.
And I think when you said it, I love it because to me, it just gives me chills because you have that level of wisdom at the age. But just seeing that you grew up with a grandmother, right?
Praying grandmother, praying mother. And she created that phrase you're reading, yes.
Oh, my gosh. So you got a grandmother, praying grandmother.
And my big mama. Can't forget about her and my aunts, yeah.
This is the product. You are the byproduct of what it looks like when you have this multi-generational, that's prayer warriors, right?
Yes.
That are doing it.
That see it in me way before.
Yeah.
Before
this is what it comes out.
Yes.
This is what comes out, which is why you weren't preachers. This is why you were able to go from 1 pound to now. Look at you.
Yes.
So to be able to see that and witness
I'm
that.
grateful.
So what's the vision with Tribute, Tribe Tribute? What's your vision for it?
My vision,
what's the future?
My vision is to continue to expand it. I wanted to touch every city, every woman I can. And I really wanted to be able to be in that mixed media platform, as we talked about before. So putting it in an app form. So where if you're in Chicago or if you're in New York, wherever you are in the world, it's there for you, this tribe, this community. And we're coming to see you. We're coming to check up on you with our annual events. But just having a space where you know that you are not alone. You have a community that is uplifting you. You have resources.
Yeah.
That's
it's almost like, to me, mom can go, daughter can go, auntie can go.
That's right.
Little sister can go.
She can.
Like you don't have to call the babysitter or leave them. Everybody can come. And to be honest with you, Char'Nese, I want to think about that. Where do we go today that we can bring everybody. We have, a lot of times I say movies, right? Movies is one.
That's a great one.
But so I am in this belief that it's not to take away, and I said this, it's the and, not the or, right? So we know we have movie theaters, but where do we go shopping?
Correct.
But where do we go where we can get fed mentally? Church, but even church is separate, right? You got a church for the young people, which is fine.
Yes.
But where can we go and really drink from the same cup?
Yes. I dream of that space.
Wow.
I am doing my part to make it a reality in the best way I can and know how. And one day that there will be that safe space. And that's all that I really aspire to, because like you said, we want to gain and we also want to give. And I think that if I just can keep doing my part, it'll open that spark in the next young woman who will take it further than I have and do it bigger, do it better, so that we can have it and we can see it on a daily basis for the next generation.
For the next generation, right? Because we also understand that we've got another generation that's being created right now. Right now. That will, that needs to hear this information. So I'm happy to hear that your future is to, go into other markets. I'm happy to hear that. I plan, God willing, to be at the next one.
You will.
So you're going to keep me abreast of the next ones, because I certainly want to be there. The only reason why I'm not going to be there, guys, she had asked me to come and participate as a panelist. But I am traveling that weekend. And so I am actually going to support my tribe. One of my best sisters, best friends, is getting her doctorate.
Amazing.
I know, right?
Let's clap for that.
Big clap for her for that. So
amazing.
I am
congrats,
going,
doctor.
I know. So doctor, her name is Dr. Kiza Foster. And so I'm excited. And she too is much like I'm going to make sure she hears the story, because she is that bridge. Like, she works in higher education, and so creating a space on leadership. So that's what she did her doctorate in. And I think that the opportunities to hear leadership, I think leadership, and I've said this, leadership has to be multi-generation, right?
For sure.
Leadership should never be, because you have 20 years and I have 5 years. Right. It should never be because I have 20. That's mentorship. But leadership is, you're a leader when you first walk into the door.
That's
you're the
right.
leader. So we've messed up the word leadership and management and used it like that's my manager, sure. Right. But my manager could actually be younger than me, and that's okay. Or vice versa. I mean, it's okay. But we have to understand that we have misused leadership in that space. How do you think, in your role of the Presidential Library coming on the side, and you're from the South Side of Chicago, and we've had listeners all over the world, but guys, South Side is probably the best side, but I still love the West Side. With this presidential synod, how do you think, when you think about Native Southsiders, right? Native, how is that going to impact the neighboring communities where the presidential center will be occupied?
Yes, I'm excited.
I would love to hear your feedback on that.
Yeah, I get a unique perspective because I see that it will provide access and opportunity to community members, to people who thought that this couldn't be in their backyard, and it is, and it is for them. And we're doing things to let you know that it is. We created it with you in mind. And with it having a community focus, I think that as a Southsider, I can be proud of it. And I can know that Woodlawn residents, South Shore residents, even people on the West Side can come over and say, this is mine, and feel a part of it. Use our recording studio, use the park, the spaces, the library, as you mentioned, the museum. All those things are going to help us boost the economy and put pride back into Chicago.
Yeah. Because I feel like, generationally, I think for some, I think, for some, is that really? I mean, I've been waiting. But I was told you got to keep living, right? You have to keep living. And the longer you live, the more you see, right? And so many people didn't know that we would have a Black president. We did, right? Mm-hmm. I saw it coming. I felt like, oh, it's coming, right? But there's, my mother and my father were like, we didn't think that would ever happen in their generation, and it happened. And so, do you feel that young people today are getting a bad rep when you hear on the media? I mean, you hear in media, you work in media. How is it your responsibility to shape a positive narrative for young people? Or do you feel that it's not your responsibility, that it is what it is, and I just show up being who I am?
I would take a little bit of the latter and say that it's our responsibility to report truth and be objective in the spaces and opinions that we give online, whether it's political or not. And I feel that, like I said before, we're creating a society where we all want to get to that level of freedom and ease when it comes to just doing normal things, being. And I feel like across the board, we need a standard, a platform, whatever that might be, to where we're not looking at it as, oh, this has to get political, conflicting. We can see each other eye to eye and just move forward collectively, but we can also let that individuality grow within each other.
I think so too. Do you think, and I've been wanting to ask this question for my I call my young moguls. Do you think that it is offensive to ask what nationality are you in the applications?
I mean, you're going to find out anyway. I don't think that should be a hindrance. It's all depending on how you use it. I don't know how AI has been moving these applications and these processes. It's a little tricky.
It is, isn't it?
We don't know what it looks like, seriously. But I feel like it goes back to identity. And if you stand on who you are, whether you're black, yellow, in between, they, them, in between, like, you have to know who you are. And if that marker is needed for application, make sure you bring your best to the interview and really let that shine. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say it has to be a issue.
Yeah. So choosing to skip it, if that's what you want to do, is
that's what you want to do. But I say show up and show out when your time does come.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was having this conversation. I said for years, we did it because it was almost as if, from an affirmative action standpoint, that would give us,
I mean, names tell too. So a lot of
that's
these
how
factors,
I feel, right?
Yeah.
Names tell, regardless. But I think we have to, remove some of these biases and stereotypes that we do have, and be a little bit more open. To I always say this all the time, that we can be different, and our difference is you don't even know that you need it, right? You believe that, that, oh my gosh, but being different, that I need, like, wow, some people are morning people, right? Some people are evening people, but we kind of need both, right?
Right.
So
it's a balance.
I think it's a balance, but I think we have been, media will tell us, right? The early word gets the worm. Well, a late person doesn't mean that they're not going to get it either. But I think we've created this thing, and I say it's a thing, that it's not true. It's not even validated.
That's true.
To be able to believe that if you wake up at 9:00, you can still be successful, right? But I mean, I work, I gotta get up. I gotta be up at 5:00. I gotta go to the gym. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Da da da. Okay.
Impossible standards. Yeah.
Impossible standards. That's good. And so, do you think young people struggle with trying to balance that?
It's there. I'm as you were explaining it, I was thinking about my routine and how I'm trying to give myself grace with that, and not always being on go, carving out time, rest time, break time, but then also having the discipline enough to get back up and get right into it. So it's a journey. It's hard, but it's a journey. And I feel like if we can give ourselves grace in that capacity, know that it's not going to be 5 a.m., 6 a.m. that we do this, 7 a.m. we do this, and we go to work. But it's going to look a little different every day.
Every day.
But if we can stay consistent, then our world can change.
Our world can really change. And I think it's about consistency, not necessarily it has to be done at that time. And I think that's it. That's something, you said something that I needed to hear. Because that's, I got to do it this time. And I'm learning how to just, the word you said was grace. Give myself grace.
That's right. And be in the flow. Because, it's always so tight. It's always going to be something. Something. Yes. It's always something.
And that's undoing some of that. Because I think I've, run a company. I got to do it like this. We have to do this. And so, and being intentional on how you want to show up. And so oftentimes people will say, well, because you don't know, because you work for yourself. I said, yeah, but I do know. I mean, that doesn't mean just because you work for yourself means that you don't have microaggressions or have experienced it, right? There's a misnomer of just because I work for myself, I've never experienced that. But what I know for sure is what I have never experienced, and I tell people, is not doing something I don't love to do. I do everything I do. Everything I do.
And that's a flex right there.
Right?
Yes,
I do it. I love what I do. I don't know what it's like to not do anything that I don't love to do. And when I get to a space that I don't love it, then I will pivot. Because that's I will just pivot. Okay, well, I don't do that anymore. Sorry, I don't do that anymore. So, I just love this. This is like,
thank you.
Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hate I'm going to miss it. Guys.
You'll be back.
I will be back.
Yes.
And I'm coming.
Next year,
so the
and
next
year.
And the next year, and the next year.
That's right.
And I'm coming because
with your tribe.
With my tribe. I'm bringing my whole, you are absolutely right.
Bring your doctor,
I'm bringing my doctor, yes. I'm bringing my best. I'm telling her to fly in to Chicago or we're going to be doing it in Atlanta, one or the other, right?
Yes,
and Tribe Tribute, we're going to do it there. So guys, I told you I had dopeness this entire month. We have been talking about National Black Women's History Month. That is devoted to April. We're not getting a lot of play on that. And so we've recognized that nobody's really been shining that, but we are. And that's what we do on Black Businesses Matter. So I want to ask you, why do Black businesses matter?
Black businesses matter because we are at the pulse of our culture, what the world needs, innovation, technology. And I think that if we have the platform, whether we create it, whether we partner, whether we collaborate, it's strength in numbers. And I think that we are the future in every sense of the word. And I'm just excited that Black business, Black people are given the funds, the opportunity, the teams, the great teams that trust the vision and follow through and execute.
That's beautiful coming from you. That's beautiful. Every time I say that, I get chills, literally, because people really, which is part of the reason why
that's
I asked that question.
I get chills all the time.
You get chills
when God moves.
And know that every person, we are approaching our 100th episode.
Congratulations.
And thank you. It is amazing. And we've had over almost 100 folks come through, whether we've done it, remotely or they've come into the studio. The part that everyone answers that question, which makes it, that's why we're so different. Like you create this, right, as an ethnic group of African Americans, but we're so different. Like you believe, yes, the melanin in our skin is beautiful, but we all think differently because of our own views and our backgrounds. But we don't have this one view. And I think that that's the reason why I asked that question, because I want people to understand the value that every person comes to the table and has something to share for that. Right. And that's important. And, and so the opportunity for us to collaborate more, the opportunity for us to advocate, which is why I wanted you here to advocate for what you're doing that more and more people can support it, can follow, can send somebody, can buy a ticket for something. Like whatever you need to do, support. Look, I hear the questions. Girl, I can't find, there's nothing. Yes, it is. And that's also why I built the podcast. We should never, they don't have. Yes, they do. Oh, we don't have. Yes, we do. And recognizing it. So tell me this. for you to be as accomplished and talented and gifted, I look at you and I just see the light in you. What brings you joy?
Joy comes from me in knowing that God has never gave up on me. And as I told you my story before, that's day one. And I rest in that every day because I truly was not supposed to be here. So I take that peace and I give it to my family in the form of joy and love and quality time. I give it to my friends. I give it to my tribe in this business and letting God move and work through that. I just wanted to let joy move through me, let God's words and light move through me in that way. And so I just try to keep a positive outlook on my life and find joy in the sunshine, find joy in getting up this morning talking to you and knowing that tomorrow is going to be a new day. You know what I mean?
That
so
too. That's
just being
beautiful.
grateful and knowing that I'm here with the people I love, that brings me joy.
Yeah, that's
in this
beautiful.
moment. You know what I mean?
I do. In this moment. Don't y'all want her? She should be your best friend. I'm telling y'all, if y'all listen to this, she should be your mentor.
I'm ready. I'm here, sister.
And so I'm telling you right now, there's a mentor. We are looking to do a mentor-mentee session, and probably Katori is my associate producer, but we've been really thinking about having a whole segment on this conversation of mentees and mentors.
They're necessary.
And so because we, naturally that's who I am because I believe that's just who I am. Like I can't help it. I'm going, girl, let me drop this with you so you can get there faster. Cause I just don't believe that, a lot of times our generation feel like you gotta wait till you 60. I ain't gotta wait till I'm 60.
Exactly.
I want it now. And I'm advocating for young people to get what's theirs now. Because maybe at 50 or 60, they decide they want to retire. It's nothing wrong with, like, we've allowed the government to tell us when we retire. You can retire whenever you choose to, right? If you line your stuff accurately. So I think that we're thinking about doing that. I just want to say, guys, if you are listening to this episode, this is an episode, I don't do this. This is actually something I don't do, but I'm really pushing myself. Share this episode with somebody. Because this is a young woman from the South Side of Chicago who works right now for the Obama Foundation, who's already planting a seed that's going to help change the world in this place of editorial content. She's built her company, Tribe Tribute, where she's helping women all ages, literally from 18 to 65, to be in the room. So by hearing this story, I am challenging, if you are a woman, to share this with a young girl, share this with a seasoned woman, whomever you feel led to do. This one is important because this is showing us where our future is going, because we have individuals like Char'Nese and Char'Nese. So she is a apostrophe. So she is, I'm just going to say you, when you see her name, you're going to be like, oh, I've heard of her before. Because this is not the last of the work that you're going to be doing, because she's an accomplished author. And so I want to make sure that you follow her. She is on Instagram at Tribe Tribute. But she dropped her website, guys, tribetribute.org, which is how I found out about her too. And then I went to Instagram. So I think that's important to share, that we have someone in a generation that understands the power of their story to being told in a platform that they own.
That's
right. Because you own that platform, right?
Yes,
we understand.
and got a trademark. So yes.
She got a trademark. All this, I'm just going to tell y'all, you're going to hear more of this. So you would want to save this episode. You want to share it. You want to, like, literally, this is episode you may want to keep. And you all, it's National Black Women's History Month. Remember what April is, and remember that this is an opportunity to shine light on Black women. I thank you all for just listening with us, rocking with us. You know that we are on a journey to get to 100 because of you all who have listened to us, who have shared us, who have told friends about us. I appreciate it. I'm thankful for it. And there's so much more that we've got in store for you all. I guess I don't know, guys, if I'm going to 200, but we'll see. We'll see where God takes us. But right now, I'm going to just relish in the present.
That's right.
In the present of where we are, and not move too fast. I think she just blessed me by saying sometimes we just got to just love the space that we're in right now and be okay with that. So thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you,
Larvetta.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. See you next week.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.